There's only one thing that I'm sure of, and that is that I am going to die, and that all of us are going to die, every one of us. And that's just a fact that we live in denial with. From the day that we're born till that final breath that we take, we're on that path to the end. If you think about it, that's very depressing and sounds, you know, pretty bad, but it isn't.
Everyone can start.
Yeah.
Can I give you a quick introduction?
I want to thank everybody who brought us together this morning. Okay, so I'm going to start with a little bit of background about how I began my journey and why I'm even here, why Hashem has given me this voice. It actually began for me in July 2012. That was when I was originally diagnosed with ovarian cancer. I was 36 years old, and at the time the mother of 5 young children. I was actually trying to get pregnant, and I'd been suffering from very typical symptoms and signs that should have been red lights for ovarian cancer. Like I said, I was a young mother. I was 36 years old. I'd been feeling bloated and feeling full, easy, not eating a lot, but still my tummy seemed to be growing. Feeling very exhausted, and it got to the point where I actually was going to bed at night and actually davening to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, please take me. That I'm not able to be a good wife. I'm not able to be a good mother or person. There was just something inside of me, inside of my neshama, saying, I can't do this. I was going back and forth to doctors over the period of about 4 to 6 months. I'm feeling a little bit depressed. I'm exhausted. All of my blood work was normal, and my doctors just said, you know, you're a young mom. You've got 5 kids. You know, boom, boom, boom in a row. Basically, you know, it's normal, and you're fine, and don't worry. And I even had one family doctor who, unfortunately, I had the chutzpah to tell me, you know, he asked me, what are you worried about? I said, well, you know, my father's mother, you know, my paternal grandmother died of breast cancer when she was 39 years old. Great-grandmother died at age 26 from some kind of disease that was in her tummy. At the time, you know, they didn't know what that was, but we assumed that it was ovarian cancer. It's very rare, very, very rare in the general population for a woman that young to get ovarian cancer. Ovarian cancer is a cancer that is usually seen in women who are at least over the age of 40, and most commonly after menopause, you know, in the 50s and onward. And I mean, I brought a little bit of statistics. That's not really the main reason why I'm here today. Since we have this gathering of women, Jewish women, it's very important that you know that I was tested immediately. That's one of the first things they do when a young woman is diagnosed with ovarian cancer, especially in Israel. All of my treatment has been at the Shaare Zedek Hospital. And right away, they asked my family history, and my father also had stage 4 colon cancer at a young age, and Baruch Hashem, he's been cured. But I had the BRCA test, the BRCA test, and I'm very open about it, and because I believe I can help save lives, I am BRCA1 positive, which is a mutation. How many of you, just by raise of hands, how many of you have heard of BRCA?
If you can give a little.
Okay. There are many, 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 many mutations on the BRCA gene. It's very important. I'm going to explain. Every human being has a BRCA gene. It is part of our DNA. Just like anything else, like eye color or hair color, or all of our cells carry DNA, which make up all of the cells of all of our body. And so it's very important that everybody understand that we all have this gene. There are ones that are more common and less common, and the most common are BRCA1 and 2. There are 3 that they test, routinely for. And I guess I could say I was lucky enough to be in the category of a more common mutation, because I didn't need to do any further testing. Right away they saw it, that I had the BRCA1, and it's just important, just for statistics, that in the Ashkenazi Jewish population, 1 in 40 have a chance of carrying a BRCA1 or 2 mutation. And we're just talking about the common mutations. That's 1 in 40 is a very large number. So my message when I do speak is that family members, people in your family, chas v'shalom, who have had breast cancer at a young age, ovarian cancer at a young age, also including, there are other cancers that are also more common with the mutations, but it's just very important to be aware. Breast cancer and ovarian cancer are the most common BRCA cancers in women, and if you have this in your family, then it is very, very much recommended to be tested for this mutation. And I'm not speaking as a rabbinit or on behalf of any halachic ruling on this, but I can just say that this is something that can save lives. Breast cancer, is very well known. They say now that it's 1 in 7 or 1 in 8. That's in the general population. So in the Ashkenazi Jewish population with BRCA mutations, obviously the percentages are higher. So that should just increase our awareness for, if we're not going to be tested for the mutation, to be screened from an early age. It's very, very much recommended because early intervention is life-saving. And as of 2015, we're coming up on the end of 2015, there are no valuable or successful ways to screen early for ovarian cancer. Ovarian cancer is usually detected and diagnosed at a later stage, usually between stage 3 and 4. And for those of you who don't understand what that means, that's not good. Stage 3 means that that the cancer has already spread. Stage 4 means that the cancer has spread to distant locations in the body, whether it be inside the liver or in the chest or lymph nodes that are further in the body. I was originally diagnosed as a stage 3, and I had surgery in July 26, 2012, and my surgeon came out of the surgery saying that there was no evidence of visible disease. I went on to do chemotherapy, and I finished chemotherapy in January 2013, and I was diagnosed with a recurrence less than a year later. So, and the recurrence was inside of my liver. The first sign was inside of my liver, and there was an infiltrated lymph node next to my heart, which is stage 4. I had a major surgery. I was going to try to do what is called designer chemotherapy, where they take a biopsy of the tumor and they send it to the United States, and they inject the tumor into mice, and they try to grow the cancer in the mice, and then they test all different kinds of chemotherapy on these mice instead of me being the mouse. But unfortunately, my cells did not ever, they didn't successfully take in the mice, and they didn't grow. And the cancer spread very quickly, and within a matter of months, I just needed to redo chemotherapy, and that's what I did. And Baruch Hashem, I experienced a miracle and had a second remission. And I finished chemotherapy the second time in July 2014. And then I joined a clinical trial with PARPs inhibitor. There are many, many different drugs now that are being developed for all kinds of cancers and focusing on breast and ovarian cancer, and especially in BRCA mutations. I joined a clinical trial, and unfortunately there was advancement of cancer while I was in the clinical trial, and I left the clinical trial, and that's where I am now, today. The course of treatment and the way that we relate to stage 4 persistent recurrent ovarian cancer today is a balance between quality of life and quantity of life. So my situation is very much in the air. Nobody knows what's going to happen, when and if I will need to restart treatment. And my hope is to avoid chemotherapy and to try another clinical trial, possibly with some type of immunotherapy, which is the new thing. They're blockers that basically cause your own immune system to fight the cancer. So that's my background, and so just so you know where I am today, I turned 40, Baruch Hashem, and I'm here. I'm still here. I believe that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me this cancer not as a curse, not as a punishment, but as just something that's part of me. And the way that I look at life in general is that there is a huge, ginormous canvas, a huge picture. A pixel is just a very tiny piece of the picture. And that's how I view myself. And I'm a tiny pixel in this giant canvas that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created for Earth. And each and every one of us is a pixel, and each and every one of us has a purpose. Many, many people have told me that they feel inspired by my journey. I've been very blessed to be able to share it with many people through my writing. I had been writing for a blog called Mama Blah Blah before my diagnosis, and after I was diagnosed, I just had a very big drive to want to write more and to share, and I've been very public about sharing that with people via Facebook and social media and Twitter, and using those mediums. I write a lot about my journey on my blog. Ahava.com is also a source. It's a great source of inspiration and connection for the Jewish community. And Chavria is very eclectic and has many different types of writers, from from Hasidim, to people like me, and musicians. That's where I've been sharing a lot of my feelings and my outlook. Our presence on Earth is very temporary. I like to think that Earth is the beginning of our journey. This is our physical world, where we embody our neshamas, and each neshama we're taught and we learn is eternal. A neshama is not something that can be destroyed. It's something that Hashem created and put basically into a house, a box. This physical body that I have, that you have, is just that. Without a neshama, a body really has no purpose or use. And our presence on Earth is very temporary. Every year we go through the cycle of learning the 5 books of the Torah, and the span just in Bereshit is immense. It's such a tiny grain of sand in the scope of history. And I remind myself of that because, there have been times where I have felt very low and very deep depression, especially when I received the diagnosis, again, the re-diagnosis of my second recurrence. I just felt like I wanted to run away and felt very lost, and very low, and very, to very depressed. I'll do whatever I need to do to stay here as long as is necessary, as long as I can. I do my hishtadlut with positive thinking, with eating a healthy diet, with a lot of exercise, and just really being very careful with how I spend my time and how I share my time, because I'm very aware of the bottom line. And the fact is, there's only one thing that I'm sure of, and that is that I am going to die, and that all of us are going to die, every one of us. And that's just a fact that we live in denial with. From the day that we're born till that final breath that we take, we're on that path to the end. If you think about it, that's very depressing and sounds, pretty bad, but it isn't. And I remind myself of that so many times in the day, which is another reason why I thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for giving me this blessing and for making me aware of what life really is about and giving me that purpose. I pray every day, use me as a kli, use me as a vessel to spread this message, to, if possible, inspire. It's not because I'm special, it's because I'm doing my tafkid, and each and every human being on earth has a tafkid. When I speak about humans having a tafkid, people tell me animals have a tafkid, a tree has a tafkid. HaKadosh Baruch Hu built every single thing on this earth, and I remind myself, I have a tafkid. I have a purpose here. Like, why would we be here on this physical world? I mean, there's so many things going on. I don't even need to bring those things up. There's so much pain and suffering and sorrows. If we look back in our history, for thousands of years to the most recent history, and recent history is even 100 years ago now also, and there's a lot of suffering on earth, a lot of physical suffering, a lot of emotional suffering, and I think that something that can really help us, it helps me to remember that my neshama, my soul, is eternal, and it's not about my house. I have to fulfill the mitzvot. I have to live a life of chesed, a life of Torah, maasim tovim. But my physical body is just a house. And there is not a house on this earth that will stand forever. Every house burns down or breaks down or disintegrates, and that is what's meant to be, and that's how HaKadosh Baruch Hu built us. Why am I here? Why am I on earth? Why are any of us here? Why are we here? I believe it's about our neshama, our souls. And each of us is born with a soul. When I was diagnosed with cancer, the tumors were compared to fruit. They told me, you have a cantaloupe over here and a small watermelon over here. I said, okay, fruit, okay. So I can also compare the neshama to a fruit, because maybe we're born with a little tiny raisin or a little tiny grape, and it's our choice what we do with that, with our neshama. We control one person on earth, and that's ourselves, and in our souls. And we might be born with a little tiny soul. We might be all shriveled up like a little raisin, but with each bit of chesed that we do, and with each act of kindness that we do, our soul grows and it develops. It helps me to actually envision my soul as a fruit, and I think of my soul every time, the fact that I have cancer and I've been on this journey for 4 years has brought a lot of chesed, so much chesed, and so many maasim tovim within my tiny circle, which is, you know, me and my immediate family, my extended family, to my community. We have an amazing community, and people daven for me and are there for me always, and it extends out to other communities and beyond. And this is all chesed and maasim tovim, all because of one little tiny grain of sand on this earth. Ahava Emunah. I'm just this little tiny person who has, because of this cancer, which is supposedly a negative thing, has created so much positivity just in my community and beyond, places that I don't even know. People reading, whether it be Havria or the blog. I think we can all connect. I feel such a strong energy right now in this room of love and emunah, and I believe that HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves us. These things that we're suffering through, that we're going through, it's all from love. Hakol letovah. I wasn't born with the name Ahava Emunah. Rav Arush, a great man, he wrote the book Ahava Emunah. I'm sure most of you are familiar with who Rav Arush is. When I received the second diagnosis, the recurrence, I started investigating. You know, maybe I should change my name, because that's something that sick people do. And I'm very blessed to have a direct connection with Rav Arush through a very good friend of mine. Spoke to my heart and to my neshama, and he said, you need to just wait. You need to focus and just wait for the right name to come to you, and then change your name. But you can't stay with your old name. You need to change. Just like a saying in our religion, you know, like change your place, change your luck, change your name, change your luck. So of course, I honored Rav Arush's words, and I didn't know exactly how that was going to work, and I was a little bit nervous. What was going to happen? Like, what, this name is just going to come to me? Like, does that really happen? And I was actually in Nachlaot in a shiur with my sister-in-law, the Rabbanit Emunah Witt. Some of you may know her. She's a Hasidah of Rav Shlomo Karlibach, and I was just sitting in her shiur, just listening to her words, and all of a sudden I just felt like Ahava Emunah. I looked over at my sister-in-law and I whispered in her ear, I know what my name is. I know what name I want. It's Ahava Emunah. And after the shiur, it was just, you know, my sister-in-law and me, and I didn't know any of the other women. It was my first time meeting the Rabbanit, and I asked her, I'm like, what do you think about this whole thing? I told her the story, and she said, wow, yes, go for it. So my sister-in-law and I, we actually, from there, ran to the hotel, and on the way, you know, when you change your name, you need to, it's recommended, you give tzedakah, and you need to have a number of people call you by your name, bless you by your name, and just on the way, these things just came out of nowhere. A man with a beard walked up, and he was asking for donations for two families that that were just suffering terribly. They didn't have enough money even to buy food for Shabbos. And I told him my story, and I said, I don't even have any cash with me. I have a credit card. Can we go to the Makolet and just can we buy them their Shabbos food, b'schut, my new name, and then you'll bless me? And so we went to the Makolet and we bought Shabbos food for two families, and another rabbi came and blessed me, and then there was the ones with the red strings. I don't know, but I was like, okay, fine, I'll take it. Bless me, this is my new name. And I went to the kotel and I davened, and I became Ahava Emunah, and that's me now. That's my name. It's Ahava Emunah, Bat Chava Eta. That's my mother, Chava Eta. Afterwards, people started telling me very interesting stories, and one of them was actually from Harav Kook, who we very much in my family connect with. Harav Kook. He was very controversial in his time, but he is basically the founder of what is known as modern Orthodox, Zionist Orthodox, Torni Orthodox, and he said, "Im ahava ve'emunah yesh simcha." That was his sentence, and every time I think about it, it just gives me chills, because I could have chosen emunah ahava. I could have chosen a different order, but it just came to me, Ahava Emunah. And I love Hashem, and I know that Hashem loves me, and I know that Hashem loves every single one of you. And we're all on our own journeys, and each and every person in this room has their own cancers, whether it actually being cancer, chas v'shalom, or depression, or financial worries, or worries of any kind. All of us have them. We all suffer from it. And it's not a punishment. And when Hashem gives you a test, or I feel, when Hashem gives me a test, I think He loves me even more. I say, wow, Hashem, you love me so much. You think that I can, you're giving me this test because you love me, because you want me to make my soul juicy. You want me to make the fruit from a little raisin to a grape, to an apple, to a mango, to a melon, to a ginormous watermelon filled with juice. That's what I want to do. Keep giving me tests, keep giving me tafkidim, so I can see my children grow up, Bezrat Hashem, to be at my son's bar mitzvah, Bezrat Hashem, and my little daughter's bat mitzvahs, and Bezrat Hashem weddings, and to experience grandchildren, Bezrat Hashem. We're all on a journey.